Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about the last two episodes of Girls Planet 999. I'll be going over and ranking all the performances from the Connect mission, and I do want to say that even though a performance is ranked the lowest, it doesn't mean I don't like it. I do like aspects from each performance, but I just wanted to rank the performances and give my reasons as to why they are ranked that way. The last two episodes really changed my view on some of the trainees, and my top 9 has changed quite a bit. So if you haven't watched my first video on Girls Planet, I will leave a link so you can, catch up on my top 9s from then, and yeah. So let's start with my least favorite and go up the list. Oh, and also before I start, please forgive me for my horrible pronunciation. I tried my best to Google the way the pronunciation and such, but it can be complicated when Japanese and Chinese names get translated to Korean and from Korean to English, and it kind of gets lost in translation. But anyway, let's just start. It was very hard to rank these performances, and sadly Fiesta by team number 2 ranked the lowest for a few reasons. But I also do like some aspects of the performance. I think most people remember Ito Miyu when thinking about this performance, as she was the main vocal. She struggled a lot with this performance, but I will give it to her. She kind of stepped up when no one else wanted the main vocal. She started off alright, and I think she sounded okay with the first higher note in the first chorus. But as the performance kept on going, she started struggling, and it seemed to really bring her down. And if you watch the fan cam of her performance, you can see how she slowly just shuts down almost. Wang Chiru also really struggled with her parts, which were also pretty high. What made me put this at the bottom is both that the vocals weren't the greatest, but also just I felt like the girls felt unmotivated, and it showed in some of the clips. So Jimin was probably the one who stood out to me the most, and I just got the vibe that she would perform this song very well, and I even saw she could be a nice one with this song, if that makes sense. I really enjoyed this part, but overall she just really suits the song. But sadly this performance is ranked lowest out of all the performances in my opinion. I was very excited to see 17 had a song in this show because, as I mentioned in my first video, I wanted to see some boy group songs, and I think they did pick one of the hardest 17 songs though, because it's a very interesting mix, because it's both cute but also kind of cool with the rap parts, and there's some higher parts and an amazing high note at the end. So let's talk about the stuff that I really enjoyed about the performance. I was surprised at how much I liked Kim Yeon. I felt like she really fitted the song. I also liked Ike Maruan and Gwsn, who were the rappers. I liked their vibe and just how immersed they were in the song, and it was very fun to watch them do the little skit with a couch. Now let's talk about the stuff that I wasn't as big of a fan of with this performance. Firstly, I was not a fan of Kim Maya as the center. The reason being is because she is very young and cute and adorable, and I felt at some points it was a little over the top. And that's kind of another issue I just had with her performance overall. I know Pretty You is a bit of a cuter song, especially compared to 17 songs, but I feel like they took it up to a notch that I was not a fan of. And it was not just cute, but it was also full of aegyo, which I am not a fan of aegyo overall, and I just didn't really enjoy that. The main vocal, Leo Sichi, I hope I'm saying that right, did okay, and I was kind of impressed with her high note, but I just wish she kept that high note for a second longer. So yeah, sadly this isn't a favorite of mine, but I do like some aspects of the performance. This is a performance I was really looking forward to, as I really like Mic Drop. However, I was also worried because of the fact that this is mostly rap, and I feel like songs like Mic Drop and How You Like That don't have a good mix of vocals and rap, and therefore, for example, Mic Drop, most of the parts are rapping, so the girls who are vocalists don't get to show off. What I think was the downfall of this performance was the girls' energy, and it just didn't match at sometimes, and I felt like I was watching two different performances, especially with the chorus. It sounded so almost monotone, and that's the issue I kind of had with the girls overall, is that they just gave a plain performance, which doesn't have to be a bad thing, but in this show, because you want the girls to stand out, and not all of them did that. And it's so important with these performances because you want to stand out because there's so many girls in the show. I will say that they did well because I was very worried after seeing them do the interim check, and it was kind of a mess, but the stage was good overall. As for stuff I enjoyed about the performance, I liked the styling, and I liked Wangyero.
我是王雅乐. 저는 왕야러입니다.
왕야러.
And her rap performance, and I also liked An Youngmin's vocals in the chorus, and the performance was fun to watch. The main reason why this is lower on my list is because it was pretty unrememberable, and the girls didn't really stick out to me a lot, like with Mic Drop. In the chorus, where all the girls were singing together, it didn't sound too pleasant on the ear, and it just kind of felt out of pitch at times. I think Ryan is a good singer, but I think her being a main vocal was too much, and she couldn't handle some of the parts well. And I could not, for the life of me, even if like someone was like threatening me, I could not tell you who had the killing part position. I literally had to look it up because I could not remember from the show or even when watching the performance on YouTube. I literally I didn't know. But I do have some nice things about this performance to say. I liked the outfits a lot. They looked absolutely stunning. I liked Lang Kiao a lot, and I liked her little rap parts, and the girls did look good together, like they looked cohesive, so that's good. The biggest issue I have with this performance is the timing and the momentum. I feel like this is sadly a good example of how a performance can go sideways with just one mistake. Seungyeon started the song a little too early, and then in the pre-chorus, Shinee was early as well, and she got confused with the dance moves and made a wrong dance move, making Kim Dae-yeon confused as well. And the whole bridge was off, sadly. It was like a mix of being too fast at times and losing momentum. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm judging the girls, like mistakes happen, but I think the girls could have pulled themselves together instead of letting the whole performance kind of fall apart, if that makes sense. And the last, negative thing I have to say is not their fault, but it's the outfits. They weren't too bad overall, but it just felt a little lackluster compared to Team 1. Andorinka had the killing part, and you would assume that she would stand out more, but I just felt like Andorinka's outfit didn't stick out too much, and it didn't match the rest of the girls because it was black and red, but the outfit scheme was the color scheme of the outfits was black and yellow. And I also had an issue with Kim Dae-yeon's outfit because I just felt like it was too plain and almost felt like I was watching a Russian roulette stage or something, with the skirt and the top. I don't know, I just felt like it didn't fit. But of course, there's stuff I like about the performance. I loved Yoonji-ya, the main rapper, was amazing, and she really drew me in with her facial expressions. Tinteling, who was also a rapper, drew me in with her performance, even though she didn't get a lot of lines, and I would have liked to see her more. Kind of unrelated to the performance itself, but this is gonna sound mean, but if Kim Dae-yeon mentions one more time that she was ranked a number 1 but didn't get a top 9 sticker, I'm gonna fucking lose it. I know that she's sad and I understand, but it's literally all she ever talks about in the show. Literally the only time she talks about it. The only time she talks in the show, she talks about the top 9 sticker and the fact she didn't get one. And it's getting kind of on my nerves. Before I actually talk about the performance, I have to talk about what happened when they were picking the parts and during the interim check. So Fu Yaning was the leader, and I just think it was a bad pick for her to be the leader because she put the rule that every girl can only try out for one position, and I just think it's fucking dumb. But if it hadn't reflected the group, I wouldn't probably have minded as much, but it affected the performance at the interim check. And when the mentors mentioned the issue with the parts, Yu Daeon finally spoke up about being unhappy with the parts and how she was unhappy with the parts and how the parts were picked, and somehow how she was judged by the mentors and some of the girls for not speaking up. But you could literally see in episode 3 when they were picking the parts that she was upset about the way that the like picking was going. So I don't know why she was getting a little like not attacked by the judges, but like, oh, you shouldn't bring this issue to here, you should have talked to your teammates. But you could see how upset she was when picking the parts, and a leader or some of the other girls should have said something like, oh, why are you so upset?
다현 먼저.
안 될 것 같아.
왜?
But I don't know, I just felt like I felt like Yoo Daeon was being called out for no good reason. But let's actually talk about the performance. As for stuff I didn't like, I felt like Fu Yaning's voice didn't fit the vocal part that she got, and it was just too deep for me. I felt like out of all the girls, her voice stuck out the most. And that's not always a bad thing, but I just felt like if she had gotten another part, it would have suited it better, if that makes sense. And with Esaki Hikaru, I don't know why, but I was just not a fan of her in this performance, which is kind of strange because I do like her. I just felt like she was almost like bored of the performance. Surichi had the killing part, but however, I just felt like it was kind of missing something. But for things I enjoyed, I loved Yoo Daeon in this song, and they switched parts, and I'm happy that she got that part and Surichi didn't keep it, because it's like day and night watching Surichi do it and then Yoo Daeon. And I'm not saying Surichi is bad, I just felt like Yoo Daeon brought something to that part that she couldn't bring. And I don't know, I just felt like Yoo Daeon stuck out in a good way, and I really liked it. And same with Kim Soo-yeon, who literally had like one part and she rocked it, and she stuck out to me after the performance. And same with Nonaka Shana, she did amazing, and I'm a huge fan of her voice. I was really on the fence about this for many reasons. I was gonna rank it lower, but there's a few things that kind of saved it from being lower in the list. But let's talk about the stuff that I did enjoy or kind of fell flat for me. Firstly, the thing that most people mention is the fact that the chemistry was lacking in the performance. Even though most of these girls are very talented and some of them even have some experience, I just felt like they weren't a group. It was very like, I felt like I was watching like solo performances that have been clipped together at some point. And they're super talented, but I enjoyed more seeing one girl on the screen, because seeing them all together just felt off to me. Shen Ting was sadly very underwhelming, even though she had the killing part, and she was also a little bit late in the second chorus to the like going to the middle. Shen Xiaoting was sadly kind of underwhelming, even though she had the killing part, and I just wish she had done a little better. And yeah, I don't know, I just felt like they should have picked someone else for the killing part. Taibing, although absolutely stunning, was firstly offbeat and messed up the start of the song.
Then girls in your area.
And that really sits with you as you watch it, and every time she comes on screen, I just thought about the fact that she messed up. And it didn't really affect the performance though, like unlike Team 2, it was just that, and then most of the performance was fine, so that's good. The performance was okay, but when you're expecting so much, it was a letdown. I do like So Young-in, her voice was very clear and very nice to listen to, and I also like Kawaguchi Yurina, but I can't really say a lot about her because she only had like 2 parts, and one of her parts, she literally wasn't on screen for most of it, which is so annoying. I hate when they do that. But what saved me with this performance and why I ranked it higher, because I was originally gonna like rank it lower, Sian absolutely saved this performance. She was absolutely amazing and I loved her attitude. And I honestly think she should have gotten the main rap part, which was Chai Bing's originally. I think she was just amazing. Although I think her outfit was absolutely ridiculous. Like, I don't know why she was wearing that. Like, yes, she stood out, but she didn't match the rest of the girls. Also, Inaba Vivian stood out to me. Like, I haven't really noticed her before, but she looked absolutely stunning in this performance. But overall, this performance was very underwhelming. Overall, this performance was very good. I had some trouble ranking it though, and so it got like a middle tier ranking. What I liked about the performance is the fact that most of the girls stood out to me like individually, which is so important in my opinion. Their voices sounded great together, and I don't really have anything negative to say. The only thing that was a little bit of a letdown was Bora's and Xiang Lufei's high notes. In the interim check, they did it so well, but in the actual performance, it kind of fell flat for me. And I just felt like Bora went a little too low with her high note at the start, and that's kind of why it messed up. But she's still a very good vocalist. I just wish that she had gone a little bit higher and done it the way they did it at the intern check. Nagai Manami was one of the girls that stood out to me the most. Overall, her vocals were stable and she looked absolutely beautiful. I felt like all of the girls fit the song, and none of them like stood out in a bad way or felt like they didn't fit the song. And honestly, I don't have anything else to say but the fact that I just liked it. I think we can all agree that the Yes or Yes teams both did amazing, but there's a few reasons why this is ranked number 3 instead of giving it a number 1 or number 2. The group did very well together and was fun to watch, but the main issue was the fact that the girls didn't stick out individually most of the time. I will mention it was very nice of Doa to like pick the part with the least lines because she got the killing part. It showed that she's fair and she's very kind to her group, and there's just something like that made my heart like warm. I want to talk about Sayin for a little bit because I feel like some people are going a little bit too hard on her, and while others are saying she did nothing wrong, I think it just shows that she's very young and it's stressful when someone in your team isn't giving it their best, and or maybe it doesn't seem to care. And I'm glad that Wanjo spoke up and kind of told Sayin to get it together, but I think the way that mentors talked to Sayin during the interim check was a bit over the top. I also think she didn't really fit the song the best because she has a very soft and almost cutesy voice, and I just felt like when she was doing the high notes, it was a little too like, she has a very thin voice, I guess is the right tone, so you could hear the high note, but you couldn't hear it that well, if that makes sense. But overall, this performance was very good, and I will say I didn't like the outfits. Like, I just felt like they got the short end of the stick out of the two Yes or Yes teams, but yes, I did overall really like this performance. I was actually surprised I ended up ranking this performance so high. I think this group has a good amount of vocalists. Not decent ones, but like good or great ones. Sakamoto Mashiro, the girl who starts the song, has a very nice voice, and the same can be said for Cho Ye-young, who had the killing part position. I'm glad that Kuborena got some of the higher notes and she did them very well. Hwang Xin-chao and Hyajo Nagomi were both great as well, and they were a pleasant surprise, especially since I was pretty worried about Hwang Xin-chao after the interim check. Hyajo Nagomi struggled a little bit with the higher parts of her lines, but it was definitely not horrible. Chen Xinwei was the one who like stood out the most as being a little less confident, and she just needs to practice her pronunciation, which I can't even judge her for that because I can't pronounce like words for shit. And I just think she needs to be a little bit more confident in herself, but she was really good. Poon Win-ji didn't get a lot of lines, but I did like her voice. And same with Kang Ye-so. She sounded a little bit too cute, like a little cuter than the rest of the girls, but she still sounded good in the song. And Lee Seung-woo, the main vocal, did amazing on the high note, and overall this group just sounded so good together and cohesive, and it was so fun to watch. And last but not least, the winner of this ranking is Yes or Yes by Team 1. They actually won the M Countdown stage, and I think they absolutely deserve it. I honestly have nothing bad to say about this performance, so just let's start with talking about why it is number 1. Let's talk about Lee Man, the girl. I knew she was a good singer, even though her performance from not the auditions, but you know what I mean, that performance wasn't the greatest. I just knew she was gonna be good. She looked amazing in this performance, and I felt like she was really in her element with the song. Kim Taehyun and Kim Hyerin were both amazing, as I expected. They seemed very confident, and I loved like every time they were on the screen, and I just loved the chemistry that they had. Ha Ji-won was a good pick for the killing parts. I do think that the line change where they're like, "Hey, gorgeous," at the start is a little bit like,
Hey, guardians.
but that's not really her fault. Yamuchi Moana has such a nice voice, and I kind of felt like she sounded like one of the Twice members. Like, she sounds like she could be on the original track. Chae is someone I mainly remember for her absolutely stunning looks and this one part here. And lastly, Kuwahara Ayana is amazing as always. I think this kind of song is something I personally would love to see her more in, but I also want to see what she could do if she got like a girl crush concept. For those who don't remember, here is my original top 9 pick. I'd pick 3 from each country, even though I know the group that debuted doesn't have to have that breakdown, but I want to be fair to all the girls, and it just makes it a little bit more easy for me. So let's talk about my new top 9 and why they're in my top 9. Kim Chae-hyun, who was originally in my top 9 pick, is staying because I fell even more in love with her after watching the Yes or Yes performance. I forgot to mention before, but another reason why I like her is the fact that she spoke up when the other girls were picking the parts. She pointed out to Ji-won that a part that she wanted would be like 50 seconds of screen time, and she wanted to make it more even, and I just found it impressive that she spoke up for the group. And I think she has some great qualities that I can see being very good in her group, and that's why she is in my top 9. Nonaka Shana is another girl who was in my top 9 list. What I like about her so much is her voice, and it just showed even more in the Eve performance. She is so stable and just amazing, and I feel like she's a good example of someone who can both do a cuter concept but also a stronger concept, because she has a cute face but a strong voice, and it's a good quality to have. I was drawn to her instantly, and that's why she is one of my top 9 picks. Lee Man was also from my original picks, and after seeing her in the Yes or Yes performance, I was so happy to see that I was right to believe in her. I don't know why, but when I watched her in the first performance of the Wannabe one, I just fell in love with her smile, and I could hear that she had potential, and I almost feel like just between the first 2 episodes and the last 2, she has already grown, and I can't wait to see more of her in the show or outside of it. Kim Hyerim is one of those people that I was thinking of putting in my original top 9, but I didn't, and I knew about Hyerim before the show because I loved her in the group Lime Soda, and Hyerim has just such a great voice, and she really got to shine in Yes or Yes. The 3rd episode and her performance was the reason why she got a top 9 spot. Kubo Reina was also a person I was considering for my top 9 last time, and after seeing her in Fiesta, I knew she had talent to go far. She always seems so happy on stage, and her smile is contagious, and she also dances with so much passion and power. I'm a sucker for a good vocalist, and I just felt like it would be a crime not picking her as my top 9. Sian is someone that I remember noticing in the Violetta performance from the first episode, and she stuck out to me for her looks, and when I looked back at the performance, I actually was kind of shocked to figure out or remember that she's actually a pretty good vocalist as well. But I think her rapping is also great, and I feel like she is in her element when rapping, and I just felt she's very fun to watch, and I want to see more of her either as a rapper or a vocalist, and I just love her performance a lot. Yoo Taeyeon is someone that I honestly hadn't really noticed before, even though she was in the Walfang performance from the first episodes, which was a performance I really liked. She just really stuck out me in the newest episodes, and first of all, she's just absolutely stunning, and I fell in love with her while she sang her parts in the Eve. I also took a sneak peek at her Instagram, and she just seems like such a good dancer, so yeah, I had to pick her as my last Korean girl for my top 9. Kuwahara Ayana is the last person from my original top 9 picks, and honestly, I didn't know if I was gonna keep her, but after looking over all the Japanese girls, she just stuck out to me, and I couldn't swap her out. She did so good in the Yes Yes performance, and I just felt like she had so much potential. And lastly, for my top 9, my pick is Wang Hye.
저는 왕야르입니다.
Which is kind of funny because I wasn't really a fan of her at first. Not in a bad way, I just didn't like the Twinkle performance. But I just felt like she stuck out to me in Mic Drop, and I could not pick her. She is also just super gorgeous. Her haircut, it suits her very well. But I think she's gonna be a great addition to my top 9 picks. I am very nervous for next week's episode, as that's the episode where we will find out who gets cut. I believe it's 16 cells that gets cut, and that's 48 people, but I think they're saving one girl from each group, so 1K, 1J, and 1C. So overall, 45 girls are leaving the show in next week's episode, and I'm so scared because after the 4th episode we only had 10 hours to vote for the last time before the new episode came on before the voting closed. And so people who changed their picks like I did could only once vote for their new picks, and I'm just very terrified to find out who gets cut. But that is all for this video. Please tell me your top picks because I'm always curious, and I also want to know how you would rank these performances. But that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye bye.